The expansion into space is no longer constrained by engineering. It is constrained by law, or more precisely, the absence of it. Humanity is approaching a threshold where extraction, settlement, and industrial activity beyond Earth are becoming technically viable. But the legal architecture governing these activities remains frozen in a framework designed for a different era. An era where space was symbolic, not economic, not strategic, not contested. The foundation of space law is the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. It establishes one core principle: no nation can claim sovereignty over celestial bodies. The Moon, Mars, asteroids. All are legally defined as the province of mankind. At the time, this was a stabilizing doctrine. It prevented territorial conflict between superpowers. But in 2026, this principle creates a contradiction. If no one owns space, who enforces rules in space? If no state has sovereignty, who protects infrastructure? If resources can be extracted, who controls access? The treaty prohibits ownership of land. It does not clearly prohibit ownership of resources. This ambiguity has become the most valuable legal gap in modern geopolitics. The United States has already moved to exploit this gap. Through national legislation and the Artemis Accords, it recognizes the right of private entities to extract and own space resources. This is not framed as territorial control. It is framed as utilization, a legal distinction with strategic consequences. China and Russia have rejected this framework. Instead, they're developing parallel legal and operational systems through joint lunar programs and independent infrastructure. What is emerging is not a unified legal regime. It is fragmentation, competing interpretations of what is allowed, competing systems of enforcement, competing blocks. This is not cooperation. This is the early stage of jurisdictional conflict, without defined borders. The most critical battle space is not Mars. It is cislunar space, the region between Earth and the Moon. Control of this space determines who can access the Moon, who can refuel missions, who can monitor and deny movement. In terrestrial warfare, high ground provides visibility and control. In space, cislunar infrastructure provides the same advantage. Whoever dominates this region does not need to claim territory. They control access. This transforms space from an open domain into a gated system. And gates imply power, even without sovereignty. At the center of this legal vacuum is a non-state actor, Elon Musk. Through SpaceX, Musk is not just building transport systems. He is building dependency chains. Starship is designed to be the logistical backbone of any future Mars colony, which means whoever controls Starship controls the supply line, and whoever controls the supply line controls the colony. But Musk's long-term position introduces a deeper disruption. SpaceX has openly signaled the idea that Mars could operate as a free planet, outside the jurisdiction of Earth-based governments. Not as a nation, not as a territory, but as a system without enforceable external authority. This is not colonization in the traditional sense. This is the creation of a parallel civilization node, without legal integration into existing global systems. If successful, it would represent the first break in the state-based monopoly over sovereignty in modern history. Without enforceable law, systems default to power. This is the core principle of geopolitics, and space is now entering that phase. The United States is building alliances. China is building infrastructure. Private companies are building capabilities that rival state-level programs. There is no arbitration mechanism with real enforcement power. No equivalent of maritime law backed by naval dominance. No institution capable of resolving disputes over extraction zones, orbital infrastructure, or access denial. Which means future conflicts in space will not begin as wars. They will begin as access restrictions, denial of docking, interference with communications, control of fuel nodes, and once physical infrastructure is threatened, escalation becomes inevitable. The expansion into space is often described as exploration. That description is no longer accurate. It is competition, structured by technology, accelerated by economics, and constrained by a legal system that no longer matches reality. There are no borders in space, but there are choke points. There is no sovereignty, but there is control. There is no war, yet. What exists today is a system where capabilities are growing faster than rules, access is becoming more valuable than territory, and enforcement depends not on law, but on who can act and who cannot be stopped. The first phase of the space age was defined by discovery. The second phase will be defined by extraction. The third phase will be defined by who writes the rules, or who ignores them.